Hello fellow beaders, this is Lynn Wiltzius, also known as Love to Cross Stitch, even though I haven't done that in quite a while. So what you can see here right now is I'm setting it up to do my border. So this is part 2 of the previous peyote stitch beading. So as you can see, I haven't got a lot done, but again, as you can see, it straightens out as you bead more. So what I have done is I've got my Nymo thread, and what I had forgot to mention is that a lot of times when you're doing Nymo thread, you need to put the wax, wax it. So I've already done that part. So here's my thread. And what I'm going to do and what I'm going to show you today is putting the rest of the border on here. As you can see, I've added my border on the sides. And because I had not prepared for it in my pattern, because this is my design in my pattern. So what I need to do, and here's a good example. I will show you how to end off the ends, and then I'll show you how to start so that you can go ahead and start your border. Now in this case, this is white because I didn't want the black behind this to make it any darker than it is, and you'd be amazed at the different threads of how it makes each of the beads look. So here's the very beginning of my piece, and I had that extra tail that I had this on, and I took it off because it's easier to bead with it. So I have a long enough tail. So I'm going to finish it off. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can go, so what you do is you go underneath to the bead below, just like that, and pull it through. Now I can do it several different ways. I can go, but you want to make sure that each one you do, you're staying in that line. So like here, I don't want to go way over to here because you're going to have a line there. So I need to either pick the bead right here or the bead right here. So I'm going to go up, and then you're going to go through that bead. Sometimes you can go through 2 of them at a time. So it just depends upon how well you can do things. Now, one of the ways that you can also end it is to go up one more and then just follow along the top. Go up, down, up, down type thing. But because I'm going to start my black on this part, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to continue for a little while. And sometimes it's hard to get the beads through, and you're going to have to pull it tight or snap them in. And so you always want to get either the bead above or the bead below where you came out of. So I'm going to do the one above. And I'm going to do that for about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I prefer probably about 1 inch. You kind of want as much in there as you can. But what I have found out is that a lot of times the way I bead, apparently it doesn't really matter because I get the threads underneath, I guess, tangled together because sometimes it's hard to get them, take them apart. But when you have a row that you've just continued doing, it's not that bad. It's usually when you have 2 or 3 threads in the same area. So I'm going to do this for just a little bit longer. So this is ending your thread, and see how it sticks. So you just want to pull a little bit more. And I'll do it for a couple more. And you'll hear it snap when it goes through sometimes. And that way you know that it's gone between the 2 beads. Okay. All right. So I've gone quite a ways to me. And so I'm going to get my scissors, and I can't find my other scissors that I use. So scissors in my house disappear. These are my good clipper scissors. Okay, so that is done. Now my end is done. I don't have to worry about it. But I am going to start with black thread because I'm doing number 310 together. They're all mixed together, which is what this pile right here is, but it's not enough for what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be dumping. I need to dump more. So I'll be putting them down like this. Okay. And then as it goes lower, I'll add more. Okay, so now I'm going to start to come up here so that I can do my 6 inches of the black. And how I like to do this is that every time when I start, to make this easy, every time I start a thread or end a thread, I go in the opposite direction. So let's say I want to start a thread, so of course I'm gonna come here and then I'm gonna start going up here. So it gives it like a Z effect. And when you're done, let's say you finish here, then I would try to work my end stitches this way. So they're fighting against each other, because if you put them all going the same direction, to me, if you have the thread going all the same, so you finish here and you start ending this way, it's an easier, it has a tendency to pull out easier. So that being said, I'm going to come and I'm going to show you another way to do this. And since I'm going to go ahead and go over the top of this anyway, I'm going to start right about there, down a row. Sophie, go away. And then I am going to come up to right here, the top, and I'm going to go down this way. And my cat just showed up, so if she gets her nose in, I do apologize. So I'm doing it in an angle like that. And remember, I'm left-handed, so you just do the opposite. Okay, so you're going to pull just a little bit. I like to leave a tag for just a little bit. Oh, well, in this case, maybe not. Because when I pull, I want to be able to pull that. Okay, that's pretty tight for some reason. All right, we'll just leave it that way. Sometimes you're not so lucky and it just pulls out really easy. So what you want to realize is that when that happens, you may have to start it a couple of times, leave a tag, and then I would do about 6 stitches and then pull it to where it comes, where it just goes right underneath the beads, and then continue on. But in this case, I must have got it tied up in some threads because it is not budging. So I will clip it off in a minute. In the meantime, I am going to continue. And with black, sometimes it's harder to see, especially when you're working with dark beads. So here you go. I'm going to go. And this is where I like to be able to hit 2 beads. Sometimes you can get 3 beads in it, but I just want to get 2. I want to get those 2. And then pull it through. And then I'm going to do the next 2. And I'm going to work this way all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, I'm going to cut off that tail, my starting tail. So here we go. And I find that as much as I love cross stitch, I tend to love beading just as much. So it's kind of like a fight between which one gets done. And then because I am part of Quilts of Valor, I'm the leader of the group here, I tend to do more Quilts of Valor stuff. So my time is tight, and it goes with different things. So you want to get as close as possible to that thread and snip it off. Okay, now I'm to the point where I can start my border. So I'm going to take, oh, it looks like my cat messed stuff up a little bit, and I wasn't paying attention, so okay. I'll have to show you what she did with my little containers, because I had the container that I showed you with my beads, and I had a towel over it one night, and she played with the towel, and her doing that made the beads go all over the place, so I had to reorganize the beads. So on 3 days, instead of being able to work on my beads, I was dividing my beads into the correct tubs because they were at the bottom of my container. So I now have a Pyrex, bigger Pyrex pan that I put the containers in, and the fun part is it has a lid, so the lid will stay on that puppy. And this looks almost like it's a bad needle, but we'll see. So I'm going to do 6 rows of the black, and I want to do a couple of them so that you can see how it makes it into the the border. So the nice thing about this is if I have a project and I want to add a border, I know I just need to add 3 at the beginning and 2 at the end of whatever color you want to do your border. So far I've only done black as a border, so that comes in handy. Oh, and look what's going on here. Let's pull that. Okay. And here we go. Oh, that's fun. Let's see what I got going here. Sometimes I accidentally put 2 beads on because I'm thinking that, oh, I haven't done that yet, or I'm not paying attention. So, but sometimes they do get twisted up. And so see, when you're doing this, and the way that we had gone from the top to the bottom, I am just going in and adding another row of thread. So that should secure it really well. Okay. And there we go. So I am going to continue this on down to the end of the row, and then I will turn around and start the next row so you can see what I'm doing. And as you can tell, my I didn't do the wax on the white when I was working on it. So as you can tell, it frays, you know, the threads tend to pop through when I get to the point where I should stop it and put another piece of thread on, but I just continue on, and then some of the fuzz stays with it. So, and I have a new thread going on it on the other end. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to continue on for a while, and I'll probably show you over here, see how long it is. But it's not as, excuse me, how wide it is. It's not as long. So I'm going to pause, and then I will come back when I've got a little bit more to go, that I've got going. So see you in a few. Okay, as you can see, I'm close to the end, and I ran out of beads. So I need to add some more beads. This one's a bad bead. So I'll put those over there, and I'll go ahead and finish this row. And then I'm going to show you how much nicer it looks, and I'm going to show you the difference with having a border and not having a border. I have two projects right here that I'm going to show you. So in my honest opinion is I think a border brings out the piece and you don't end up losing it on the wall or wherever you put it. I tend to like to do a lot of peyote tapestry type pieces, as you can tell, because this is a big piece. It's easier than it looks. It just takes a lot of time, just like cross stitch or any kind of craft that we do. Since I do everything, you know, I mean, you're putting about the same amount of time into it that you do in anything else if you want it to look good. That's basically how it works. I mean, you've got to put the time into it and you've got to pay attention to what you're doing. So, okay, I'm getting close to the end. And then I'll show you again how to, excuse me, my fingers aren't working. Oh, and a little while ago, just so you know, when I was doing this, I accidentally didn't pull this, so then I just went straight through here. Well, unfortunately, I sheared my material, so then I had to undo my thread and get that unhitched, because there's really not anything you can do. It's going to twist your bead in there and it's not going to sit right. So you don't want to do that. And I do that on occasion when I'm not paying attention or when I seem to be in a hurry. I just put the thread through, not realizing that I pierced this thread. So, okay, so now we're to the end. And I want to show how much nicer it really looks. All right, so as you can see, the black is all the way down along the line. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over, flip it over, and I'm going to go ahead and start the next row just like I showed. Now see, these are uneven stitches, so it's easier. If I would have started, and see, then I pull just to get that. If I would have started at this end to do my black, then I would have had to treat it like an even stitch because the stitch was up. So you kind of have to pay attention to that part as well. Okay, so this is where the sides meet the ends. I mean, meets the top. All right, so, and I'm going to continue this for another 4 rows to where I want it, to where it's kind of even with this. So I want the same width. And I guess if, see, I was telling you about that. Every once in a while when I'm not paying attention, I get 2 beads on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up through there. Hope I don't pierce the thread, because if I do, then I have to take the whole thing. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to take one of those beads off. That one right there. And drop it in there. Okay, so now I can get back to what I was doing. So there, you just saw me make a mistake, which I do tend to make a couple of them. So, all right, so you see how that is looking with the black, and I do like it. I did the mixed black because I have mixed black in my project. On my other one that I'm going to show you, it was all 010. So this is what I'm working on, and when I get this thing as close to completed as possible, I will show you the end result. Now I'm going to take a break and I'm going to show you the reason why I like to do borders instead of leaving them blank. So this was one of my projects. Let's see if I can flip her up, get it up a little bit more. hold on. Well, anyway, this is one of my projects. Okay, so see, there's no border on it. And what I ended up doing was I took, to make this look as good as it does on the front, I took the, I did a black row here to divide it. I don't know if you can see it or not. And then I went ahead and did about 20 rows of the beginning of the pattern. So then I could hook it on here and it doesn't look as bad, but that's how you kind of finish some of these. In the case of this one, I will probably do what I did on this one and make these. Actually, that's the back. Okay, so I did about 20 rows here and I attached it to here. I had to divide it up to see where the middle point is. So you can see I do a lot of big project peyotes. This one has the border, which I like. See that? And the border tends to make it look really well done. So give me a minute. I am going to pop this up a little bit further so you can see the whole project process. There we go. So this is the whole thing. So see, it tends to make it look like it's not really, I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't make it look finished. See? So there's the other one. It's not as big as the other birds. So I prefer a border. And I think if I would have been thinking, I would have put a border on this when I started it. But I didn't. So it is done, and I'm not going to, I'm not even going to fix it. So anyway, so that's how I work with my beading. And like I said, I've got quite a few rows done already. And this is brickwork. That's why it looks so dark. But if I would have put a white border on there, I think it would have distracted from it. You would have noticed the white over everything. If I would have put an orange, then you wouldn't tell where it finished or started. So there's a lot of reasons why I prefer black, but in some cases, I probably could have got away with a brown, dark brown border. So there are times when you can add a different border depending upon what your piece is going to look like. So I think that works really well for this particular piece. So anyway, there you go. And like I said, I prefer, sometimes if I just need an ounce or two of beads, then I will get them from High Street Bead Company. If I need a tube of beads, I usually go with Aurora Crystals. Those are my two go-to places. They're not as expensive as Fire Mountain. So Fire Mountain is another one, but you know, with Fire Mountain, it's almost like the more stuff you buy, the cheaper it gets, and I don't like to buy a whole bunch of stuff, so these two work really well for me. So that being said, I hope you have fun working on your project, and I hope this helps you to be able to work on a piece and not panic or freak out, because peyote beading and tapestry beading are a lot of fun. I do make a lot of ornaments, and I will show that again another time. I can show you all my ornaments that I have done, which I will probably do later on. Like I said, life gets away with me, and there are things that I haven't had time to do for a while. So when I get the time, I'll work on this. And when it's done, I will show you. Have a great day. Bye.